Good evening, everyone, again. Hi, thank you for joining me this evening for tonight's information session on the NYU Stern Executive MBA program in New York City. Before we move forward, I just want to make sure you can hear my audio well. If you wouldn't mind, I can just check if you just shoot your hand up for me. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay, good, great. Okay, I've got a few hands there. Perfect. Okay. All right, so let's get started. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Cheryl Sanichara. I'm a director on the Executive MBA admissions team. I've been at NYU Stern my entire career, actually, and I've been part of the Executive MBA admissions team for about 13 years now. So it's been a real pleasure to work with applicants through their MBA transformation and to just interact with working professionals to get a sense of how an MBA can help them in their career. So my goal this evening is to tell you what is unique about NYU Stern and our executive MBA program, to answer your questions, and to help you understand whether or not our program would be a good fit for you. So we'll start the evening with a 30-minute presentation, and then we'll save some time at the end to answer questions. Feel free to submit questions using the Q&A feature throughout the presentation as I walk through the slides, and I'll try to get to as many answers as I can at the end. If you have any specific questions that are related to your candidacy, I would say hold on to that specifically and potentially just reach out to our office with those types of questions. I will also share contact information for our office at the end of the session. Okay, so let's first start with a program overview here. Let's start with some of the logistics. So our executive MBA program is offered for two start terms per year. We have a January start as well as an August start. The program is the same regardless of which start term you choose. It's all about, the timing that would work best for you. The program takes about 22 months of coursework to complete. So from start to finish, it's about 2 years that our students spend in the program. Classes are held every other Friday and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it's about 4 class days per month. They are full day sessions. And because our classes run on Fridays, we do require that you talk to your employer or your company about managing time off so that you're able to attend classes on Fridays. In addition to the classes that take place on our campus, there are also 2 required 1-week residencies that are part of the first year in the program. There is a domestic residency week, which is an orientation that takes place at the very start of the program. It's about 5 days long, but our students actually it'll be an immersive experience for them, I should say, because they spend that time off-site, off-campus, during the first week of the program, really getting to know each other on a deeper level. And they actually begin their courses, their first set of courses during that orientation week. And then they continue that back on campus. So it definitely is, it's required. And it's also like a great experience as well to immerse yourself in the program once you first join. There is also a global immersion experience that takes place in the first year of the program. There's a second global immersion experience that takes place in the second year of the program, and we'll talk a little bit more about the global immersion experience at a later slide. But upon completing the Executive MBA program, all of our students earn an MBA degree in general management from NYU Stern. That's the same degree across all of the MBA programs here at Stern. It's your traditional MBA degree. However, the program is offered in an executive MBA format. So I hope that makes sense to people. Okay, so moving on then to the curriculum. Academics are the cornerstone of our executive MBA program. Our curriculum is designed to give you a strong business foundation and allows you to really customize the MBA program to help you meet your professional goals. This is the way the program is structured in terms of the core curriculum being completed in the first year of the program. It'll provide our students with a strong foundation in key areas of business, such as finance, marketing, leadership, as well as strategy. And then in the second year of the program, our students will move on to take elective courses. Over the course of year two, they'll take 12 electives to help really deepen expertise in different areas that they might be interested in. And then there is the option to earn up to 3 specializations in the program. Through the electives that you take, you have the option to earn specializations that way. And in order to earn a specialization, excuse me, you'll need to earn about 9 credits in one area of study. So that's a little bit about how specializations will work. I will say most students specialize in about 2 areas. It's often quite tough to specialize in a total of 3. But some people do make it work, so it's totally up to you. And then again, once you complete the core curriculum and the electives, that'll be the 2 years that'll earn you the MBA degree. And then you can see on the screen here a list of popular specializations in the program. One thing about specializations is that the areas are focused on like more broad general areas versus industry focused. And that's intentional in our program because the specializations can be applied to almost any industry or function. And our class is quite diverse. That is the reason for the way that the specializations are set up. Okay. And then the global immersion experience is also built right into the curriculum. The first year trip is considered a core course for our students. That is why it's required in the first year for the entire cohort to go on this trip. It's an international trip to a market abroad, and it helps provide our students with exposure to other global hubs or business centers and engagement beyond the classroom. And it also serves as a great opportunity to bond with your classmates as well. So what does the trip look like? Students will spend 1 week abroad together where they will explore that market by participating in company visits and meeting with business leaders from different industries or government officials, sometimes even NYU faculty that's teaching abroad. The destination is typically selected by Stern's faculty and administration, and there is a faculty member that leads each global immersion experience. So there's some coursework that's done pre-departure in terms of researching the market and understanding it before traveling there. And then the destination will typically depend on business trends that are taking place, as well as connections that NYU has abroad. So you can see on the slide here, some recent trips have been to Vietnam, to Prague, Chile, as well as Germany. And the destination does change year to year. Um, so it's always exciting for a new class to find out where they're going, I'd say. All right. And then in terms of the academics, it's our faculty members that truly bring the curriculum to life. Our faculty members are hand-selected to teach in the Executive MBA program. They're often invited based on a number of factors, including their theoretical expertise, as well as their experience teaching at the executive level. They're often leading experts in their field and are active in the business world. So they're really bringing, their learnings, their challenges, their problems into the classroom to discuss with our students as well. And one great thing about faculty teaching in our executive MBA program is that they're really prepared to meet the experience level of our students and can tailor their education and the analysis and the classroom discussions to really reflect the diversity and the depth of experience of our students. So they keep they keep in mind um, they're creating content with real-time application of skills in mind because they want the learnings from the executive MBA program to be tangible and to be able to be applied to work right away. And then I would say that, the expertise of our faculty are really reflected in the way that the curriculum is built out for our students each year. Okay. Um, Now that we've talked about the academics, let's take a look at what our typical student profile looks like. Um, so I will say that um, one of the great aspects of our executive MBA cohorts is diversity within the class, and that's something that the admissions committee strives for when they put together a cohort well, twice a year, I should say, for New York. So we're looking for experienced professionals coming from different backgrounds, functions, or industries, because we feel that this really contributes to um, a learning environment where students are not only learning from faculty members, but they're able to learn from their peers, from their classmates, who are able to share insights from the experiences that they've had. So taking a look at the statistics really quickly. The average age here is in our class is about 37. So our students are about 37 years old, coming into the program with about 13 years of work experience. We don't have a requirement for management experience, but um, our students are typically coming in with about 7 years in total. We have about 33% of students coming from an international background, which means that they've either lived or worked abroad for a significant amount of time. And then 25% of our students are coming into the executive MBA program already holding an advanced degree. So we know that they love learning. Then looking at the right side of the screen here for typical industries, this is what breakdown of a cohort will look like by industry, where we have about a quarter of the class coming from the financial services industry, and then the remaining, 74 to 75% of the class is coming from different industries, including the healthcare, pharmaceutical space, consulting, consumer products, those are that are in marketing and advertising, as well as we do have veterans in our program coming from the government or military, and then some of the nonprofit space. So there is quite um, quite the breakdown of like diverse industries within the program. And then on the bottom here, you'll see a little chart here about study groups. Now, in the first year of the program, when students join from the first day, they actually begin working with their study groups. Study groups are smaller groups of students. It's about 5 to 6 students in each group that are working together cross-functionally, essentially. So the admissions team actually creates these study groups where we're bringing in people with different strengths, different backgrounds, different levels of expertise into the study groups so that they have sort of a support system in place for the first year of the program. Um, and so what that looks like is essentially we'll have someone who's probably strong quantitatively, someone who maybe works in finance or who studied finance, and then we might have a strong writer in the group. We might have a person who has a strong presentation skills. Those types of things come together when we create the study groups. And again, the study groups are implemented in the first year of the program so that students have a support system to lean on in case they, have trouble with some of their classes, or if they need to work together on getting deliverables done, like presentations or papers. There's a lot of group work designed in an MBA program, and study groups are just a great way to have like a small um, group of students to lean on or rely on in the first year. Okay. All right. I just want to check. I don't see a Q&A feature here. Are you all able to type in questions, the Q&A feature? Let's just make sure. Okay, no, it is here. Okay, feel free. Yeah, feel free to leave some questions as we go through the slides. I just want to make sure we have questions at the end to go through. But it is open. Okay, great. So let's continue on here. Okay, so what does a typical class day look like now that we've talked about what a typical student looks like? So here's a sample schedule of what the class day will look like. It's the same schedule on Friday as well as on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So essentially, there are two classes that take place during the day. There's a morning class, takes place from 9 a.m. to 12:15, but then you'll see that there's a small break built in between. So students will attend half of the session and then go on break and then attend the second part of the session. The afternoon class takes place from 1:45 to 5 p.m. There's also an afternoon break built in between. So we kind of split the day up or break the day up into chunks for our students so that it's really manageable. And then there's breakfast and there's lunch provided to our students on class days. So you do have to get there a little earlier if you want breakfast. I think breakfast is from 8 to 9 a.m. Or you can always swoop in and grab some coffee before heading to class at 9 a.m. And then the lunch break is actually an hour and a half. So it's a good chunk of time to eat lunch, catch up with classmates, get some work done if you still have like group assignments to get to, or if you need to catch up on work emails, anything that you need. Um, so I think the day is really manageable for our students. And then after 5 p.m., there are sometimes evening events that take place on campus, whether it's an executive MBA specific event or if it's a Stern-wide event. So those are all optional to our students, and they can kind of pick and choose what they're interested in joining. Um, and then we also have, as part of the executive MBA format for our program, we have a dedicated academic affairs and student services team in place that will handle most of the logistics for our students while they're enrolled in the 2-year program. So once our students have enrolled, we kind of hand them over to this other administrative team, which is our student services team, and they take care of our students with kind of any of their classroom needs. So that can be things like registering students for all of their courses. They order books and materials for all of the students. They coordinate meals on class days. They also set up sessions to help with like picking your specializations or your electives in the second year. So there's a lot of support in place from this administrative team just to make sure that you're successful in the program and that you can really focus on learning when you're on campus for the class days. Next slide. Okay, great. So we understand also that students are not joining an executive MBA program for only the knowledge and business skills, but they're also looking to equip themselves with like the necessary tools that they'll need to enhance their career, achieve their professional goals. And so we have a working professionals team here in our careers office that's dedicated to helping our executive MBA students. They are there are career coaches on this team that can help our students develop a career plan for themselves post MBA. So whether you're aiming to, advance at your company, transition careers, or start a new business, our career coaches can help you identify, what those goals look like, help you create a plan or a strategy. They can help you sort of fine tune or edit your resume. They can help you with your interview skills. They can utilize the NYU Stern Network or alumni as well to build connections. Um, so there are a number of resources available through our career coaches and career center, as well as online resources and tools for our students to have access to. Um, Sort of like 24/7 online. Students are assigned a career coach on the first day of the program, and they work with that career coach during one session to kind of as I said, develop like a career plan or strategy for the 2 years that they'll be here at Stern and then the program. But then beyond that, all appointments are completely optional for our students. So you really have to take advantage of utilizing this career center and working on building out your professional development. There are also a number of workshops and events that are programmed into the schedule for our students during the 2 year program. So our careers office will often hold workshops to help with personal branding. They'll also hold industry panels where they'll have alumni come from different cohorts, either through our executive MBA program or our part-time working professionals program as well, to really just speak about the industry itself and how to like build connections in that industry, things like that. And then there are other events that are kind of focused on, advancing in your career. There are topics that are specific to like negotiating your salary, or talking to your boss about a promotion. So things that are very specific as well. And again, all of these types of extracurricular events are all optional to our students, so it's really up to you to take advantage of them. Um, all right. And then in terms of lifelong learning, there are many opportunities for our students upon graduation. So NYU Stern alumni are eligible to take two executive education courses per academic year at a discounted rate. And executive education courses are sort of like 1 to 2 day courses that are focused on a specific topic or area. So if you're looking to continue advancing your skill sets, those are a great way. That's a great way to do so, by doing a short course that'll be available to you. There are also executive MBA courses that our alumni can come back to audit. So as a student in the program, if for some reason there was an elective course you couldn't take because you were taking something else, you can always come back and audit the courses in our executive MBA program. And I believe that's at no fee. So while the program is only 22 months long, you'll end up joining a community that can actually support you for a lifetime. All right. And we understand that you also need to take a look at the investment for the program. So tuition here, for the 2025 to 2026 academic year, it is $232,880. Now, for anyone that's interested in starting the program in August of 2026, we're actually going to hit a new academic year at that point. So this tuition number is not going to be applicable to that start term. I just want to point that out. The tuition typically does increase somewhere between 3% to 5% of this total number for the next academic year. But we don't have that set yet from the university. So that's why we're sharing this number here. But what does tuition include? So the total cost of the program will include, obviously tuition, books and materials. It includes the global immersion experiences that our students will go on the first year trip, and there's a second year trip. The only thing with the global immersion experiences is that airfare is not included in the tuition number. So students will book their own flights for the global immersion experience. Any accommodations for the orientation or domestic residency that I talked about at the start of the program is covered, meals on class days. It also includes, things like online resources and the dedicated support from our academic affairs and student services team, as well as hotel accommodations. So hotel accommodations are provided to students if they live more than 40 miles from campus. So that's actually sort of complimentary of the program, for anyone that needs to travel to New York City for the program. Okay, but let's talk about ways that you can finance. Excuse me, ways that you can finance your MBA. There are a few different avenues for financial support. NYU Stern has a graduate financial aid office, which is a great resource to answer any questions that you might have on, the FAFSA, on financing the program, on taking out private loans. Most students do a combination of the FAFSA as well as loans to cover the cost of their program. But there is a like a contact information for the financial aid office if you would like to speak to someone there, and you can do it at any point in the process. So while you're exploring the program, while you're in the middle of applying, you don't have to wait until the end of the process to speak with someone. The program also provides merit-based scholarships to applicants joining the Executive MBA program. These are all partial awards that are awarded on a one-time basis. So it's at the time of admission that it's awarded and does not repeat from year one to year two. To be considered for one of our merit-based scholarships, you'll just need to answer a question in the formal application. It's a yes/no question, so it's pretty simple. But you do need to answer the question in order to be considered. And then if you are selected for a scholarship, I believe I said this, but it's communicated to you at the time of admission. So you'd be able to make a decision knowing, what scholarship you received. Oh, here is the website for our graduate financial aid office. If you'd like to jot that down and just explore their website to see what options are available to you. All right. Okay, so now that we've talked about the program and you have a good overview, let's talk a little bit about the application process. In general, our process is pretty straightforward, and it's a holistic review process that we utilize. It's also very personal, so we try to get to know our candidates as well as we can through the admissions interview, through admissions and recruiting events that we hold. And so it's a great way to get to know our candidates as they apply to the program. And then there's not usually one part of the application that's weighted more than the other or will make or break your candidacy. We just typically recommend that you focus on the entire story that you're trying to tell the admissions committee through your application, whether it's the essays, through your admissions interview, through your resume. I think it's important how you present it, essentially. So again, there are two steps in our application process. The first step is to submit a pre-assessment. It's a quick form that you'll have to complete in one sitting. And we essentially will use that. We'll use your profile details, and when you upload your resume, we'll use those pieces of information to ensure that you meet the prerequisites for our program. We have two prerequisites. One, that you must hold a bachelor's degree or its equivalent if you went to school internationally. And then you must also have a minimum of 6 years of full-time work experience. There's no fee to submit the pre-assessment. It'll just be a good way for the admissions team to understand your experience, get a brief snapshot of your profile, and then be able to tell you if you're eligible to proceed with our application or not. If you are able to proceed with the application and we mark you as eligible, you can move on to submit the full application. Now, each of these bullets kind of represents a piece of the application process that we would require in order for you to submit to receive a decision from us. The things that are noted as optional, obviously, will not be required. So I won't go through everything here, but I do want to mention a couple of things. So the 2 letters of recommendation that are required, one of those must come from your current manager if you are working at a full-time job. We require that. And then the second letter of recommendation can be from, a previous manager, colleague, client. There's a little bit more flexibility with who you pick for the second letter. But please note that we are looking for professional recommendations here, not academic. So keep that in mind as you choose the individuals who will submit recommendations for you. And then the interview with the member of the admissions committee is something that everyone completes. It's part of the application process. The interview is about 30 minutes long, and most interviews take place over Zoom. So they're virtual interviews. We ask our candidates to come prepared to the interview, um, prepared to kind of speak on their professional experience, their career goals, as well as their interest in joining the program. But the interview is also a great place to bring any questions that you might have about the program or the admissions process that can be answered by one of our admissions directors. And if there's anything about your candidacy that you wanted to clarify or expand on, the conversation with one of our admissions directors is the best place to do that. Um, and then the two optional items I'll just quickly speak to, but we do have a sponsorship form available if you are getting any type of like tuition reimbursement or um, any type of partial sponsorship from your company. If you'd like them to fill out a form to like formally acknowledge that they'll be giving you some type of funding. We do have a form available that you can download, have them sign off on, and then upload for us. Again, it's optional. So if your company has its own paperwork that you do, that's totally fine. I believe we do just have a question in our application that asks if you're receiving any funding from your employer, which would be a yes, no. And then the sponsorship form is just like supplemental to that if you want to include it. And then for standardized tests, all of those are optional for our application process. So we don't require the GMAT, GRE, or executive assessment as long as you can demonstrate your academic or quantitative preparedness for the program in other ways. We don't think that we would not need the standardized test um, to I guess to like supplement that. So what I mean is if you have professional responsibilities that involve budgeting, that involve financial forecasting, that involve working on a P&L, things that you're doing on like a daily or weekly basis that would be considered um, preparedness for the program in a sense instead of the standardized test, or if you have let's see, if you have a certification like a CPA, if you're a CFA, all of those things would count as well. If you do have specific questions about this in terms of your candidacy, I would definitely say contact our office or bring it up during the admissions interview. And then finally, we do have an application fee to apply to the program. But to thank you all for joining me this evening, we're more than happy to waive that application fee for you and provide you with a code that you can enter in the application to bypass that $175 fee. You should get that in an email following the session. And if you do not, for some reason, just reach out to our office and we can provide that code to you. Okay, we're almost done. So here are application deadlines. So for the August 2026 start term, which is our next upcoming cycle, we have a first deadline on March 1st. Our final deadline is on May 15th. But we offer rolling admissions throughout the year, which means that once you submit your application and it's considered complete, it can actually be reviewed by the admissions committee right away. And we can make a decision typically within a 3 to 4 week time frame. So that means if you're ready to submit now, we're in the middle of January, you could hear back by the middle of February from us. So if you're a planner and you like to plan ahead, you can definitely submit way before we approach these deadlines, and you can hear back from us. But we will continue to accept applications through May 15th. So if you're not a planner and you're just exploring the program at this point, that's totally fine. There's plenty of time to apply. All right. So at this point, I hope you're all ready to take at least the first step in our process, excuse me, and submit your pre-assessment in the system. Here's the contact information for our office. We are available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 p.m. And then our website is listed here for you. And then I believe there's a QR code to take the next steps in terms of submitting a free pre-assessment. If you want to scan that QR code, you can go ahead and do that, or you can just find it on our website, whatever um, you'd prefer. Okay, so let's get to questions. We have about 5 minutes left. Let me just pull up the Q&A. All right. Okay, let's see. So we have a question about interviews here. If you're going to apply for the March 1st deadline, if there are no more admissions interviews available until after March 1st, what should you do? So at this point, there should be availability for admissions interviews before March 1st. If there is not, you can reach out to our office and we can set up more slots so that we can offer admissions interviews before that first deadline. However, in the case that let's say you are looking to apply right around March 1st and you're looking for an interview like right around the end of February, the beginning of March, and then there's nothing left, you can always reach out to our office to let us know if you're looking to do something on a particular, like in a particular week, on a particular day, and we can try to fit you into the schedule. But we try to keep as much interview availability open in our portal as we can around those deadlines. So I would say if you're not seeing something in our online portal for the availability, just reach out to our office. We can try to help you. Um, and then there's another question about the difference between the MBA program and the part-time MBA program. So that there's a lot to go into with that, but I will just highlight a couple of differences. But I would definitely encourage this person who asked the question to reach out to the part-time MBA program to get an overview of what they offer or to attend a session similar to this for the part-time MBA program so that you can compare both options. But in terms of your question itself and what is the difference between the programs, so one is the schedule. The part-time MBA program offers classes on weeknight evenings from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. during during the work week, Monday through Friday. Our program offers classes every other weekend on a Friday, Saturday schedule. So with the part-time MBA program, you don't need any permission from your employer. That's usually outside of business hours. With our program, because we have classes all day on Friday, you do need to have a conversation with your employer about joining the program. The next thing is the class profile is a little different. So we looked at the class profile for the executive MBA program, and our students are often more senior in their career coming into the program at about 37 years old with about 13 years of work experience. With our part-time MBA program, our students are typically just like less experienced and a little bit younger. Um, so I think the average student has about 5 years of work experience and is somewhere between like 24 to 28 years old when they join the part-time program. The degree that you earn is the same whether you join the executive MBA program or part-time MBA program. Um, but those are the two biggest differences that come to mind with the program. The programs, there obviously is also a tuition cost difference, but I don't know what the cost of the part-time MBA program is currently. So again, I would say reach out to their office or look into attending like an information session for their program. Okay, great. We have another question. It's specifically to someone's candidacy in terms of owning a company and having no boss or manager. So in that case, if you are a business owner or you're self-employed or you're running your own business, then we would understand that you don't have a manager. We would say that you can just bring that up in the application or in the admissions interview. And a good alternative for recommendations would be to ask a client, a supplier, a vendor potentially. It would be tough to ask a colleague unless they're at the same level as you versus someone who reports to you. So that's the only thing with potentially asking a colleague. So I'd say if you have questions about that, you can bring that up during the admissions interview. And one of our admissions directors can guide you on who might be, um, good individuals to submit recommendations for you. Um, okay. Next question is on application fees. Are they waived for veterans? Yes. So the application fee is a code that would be used in the application itself. You'd have to type in the code under the correct section. We do have application fees for veterans. It's the same code though. So if you would like to reach out to our office to let us know that you're a veteran and want the application fee waived, you can do that, and we can let you know what that code is that you need to enter. So that's totally fine. Or you can use the code that you get for attending the session. It's the same code. So whichever way you'd like to proceed. Okay, next question. What do students remark the most about after finishing the program? Yeah, so I'd say one thing that comes up time and time again are the relationships that they build and develop with their classmates after finishing the program. Because our class days are quite intensive and then our students are traveling together abroad for the global immersion experience and they're together during that orientation week. I think they get to know each other on such a deep level, and with our class size being quite small compared to other programs at NYU. I don't think I mentioned this, but the class size for our um, our August cohorts is about 60 students. And then for January, it's a little smaller sometimes at around 40 students. So I think students always talk about the relationships that they develop with their classmates after finishing the program. We have students who stay in touch years after, students who go to each other's weddings and um, become godparents of their classmates' kids, things like that. And then I think the other piece is that the global immersion experience always stands out as one of the features of the program that our students enjoy the most because they could have traveled to that same city or market before and had such a different experience doing it as part of the global immersion experience. So we've heard students say that I've been to Argentina or Brazil before, but I've never seen it in this way. So I think that our faculty and administration do a really good job of putting together that global immersion experience, that week-long trip for our students to participate in. And the benefit is that there are two, right? There's one in the first year. There's also one in the second year for our students to go on. So it's always something I ask them to invite me to, but I'm I'm not I'm not part of the group, so not something I get to participate in, but I hear that it's an amazing experience. Um, okay, let's see. I think the last question here, once you complete the pre-assessment, do you receive a link to start filling out the application? So yes, technically you should. The way that it works is once you complete the pre-assessment, the admissions team has to review your pre-assessment to ensure that you're eligible for the program. Once that review takes place, you should get an email from our admissions team stating that you are eligible to proceed with the application. And then with that email, in that email, there should be a link that will take you into the full application. Um, and when you click on that link, you will be able to start the application and complete the different sections of the full application with the essays, recommendation letters, transcripts, things like that. So you do have to wait for an email from our admissions team after submitting the pre-assessment. But if you have already submitted the pre-assessment and gotten the go-ahead to say you are eligible, but you don't have the link, feel free to contact our office and we can look into it for you. And we can let you know, or we can share the link with you if you should have already received it. All right then. I think we got through all of the questions here. So I think we will stop there. I appreciate all of you taking an hour out of your evening to come join me to learn more about the program. So thank you all again for coming out this evening. And then I just wanted to mention again that you will receive an email from our admissions team with just next steps following the event, as well as that application fee waiver code that you can utilize for the application. So hopefully that will be helpful to you if you're interested in applying to the program. So thank you all so much. Appreciate your time and have a good evening. Take care.